Hello, this is my newest episode of my prediction series. In this episode, I'll be discussing the May 17th Republican primary being held in the state of Oregon. The apportionment in this primary is proportional, and so I think it's worth talking about every candidate who's on the ballot potentially. Even if they're a withdrawn candidate, they'll still appear on the ballot, and also who I think will win of the candidates who haven't withdrawn on the ballot. So, for anyone who's been paying attention to the news lately, it's a pretty big deal. Donald Trump is the presumptive nominee at this point for the Republican nominating contest, meaning that he's garnered the majority of the delegates so far, and it's expected that at the end of this process, he will be the general election nominee. It's possible that he doesn't become the general election nominee if, for whatever reason, voters in the next contest decide in a significant enough percentage to not grant him enough of the delegates to win on the first ballot at the convention. But it's highly improbable at this point because when other candidates have suspended their campaigns, it means they're not campaigning in the other states that are remaining in this overall contest. It means they're not spending money on ad buys, they're not showing up and doing rallies or speeches, all the things involved in a presidential campaign. So for the May 17th Republican primary being held in Oregon, my prediction is that Donald Trump will be the winner. And then the breakdown for how I think the rest of the vote will go is I think that Ted Cruz will be in second, John Kasich in third, Marco Rubio fourth, Jeb Bush fifth, and Ben Carson sixth. That's who's left on the ballots for who the voters could vote for if they wanted to. But I expect that Donald Trump will win the lion's share of the vote, if you will, for the Oregon primary. I think he'll win 60 or 70% of the vote because all the other candidates have suspended their campaigns and withdrawn. It's possible any of the candidates that are listed on the ballot could unsuspend their campaign and become active again. If they wanted to do a Stop Trump movement, maybe Ted Cruz starts up his campaign again, or Kasich, or Rubio, or Bush, or Carson. It's more unlikely than not that Carson or Rubio or Bush would jump back into the race, but even Kasich, given that they didn't do too great overall in the primary. But Ted Cruz certainly did put up a good showing. He came in second overall in terms of the total number of votes and delegates garnered. And, it's possible. I don't think it will happen, but they've suspended their campaign. They haven't ended the campaign, and that is a big difference. Because when a candidate suspends their campaign in the primary nominating process, that means that there's still potential that they could start right back up at any time if they see that there's a path to success, victory, whatever you want to call it. So it's still worth making a prediction of who's going to win and where I think they'll win in each of these contests, because technically, if they're on the ballot, people could vote for them. And if they decide to start up their campaign, they might actually maybe not win, but certainly do better than they otherwise might. And for a state like Oregon, and for a state like Washington, and also New Mexico, where the delegate apportionment's proportional for whoever wins the contest in terms of the allocation, hey, it's pretty. It's a big deal if you come in second place or third place in a proportional apportionment or allocation of delegates, because it's not winner take all or winner take most. It means that Trump would have to win a whole lot of the votes to get a lot more of the delegates. That's one of the big issues that Bernie Sanders is running into in the Democratic nominating contest, is that because of how proportional it is for the apportionment of delegates, it is a huge amount of votes that's needed at this point for Sanders to become the nominee. But Trump doesn't have that problem. Trump, I think, will be the nominee because he just has to win even a plurality, so long as he gets the most votes in the winner-take-all states that are coming up. So California, Montana, New Jersey, South Dakota. If he wins a bunch of those, even if he just wins California, he should be well on his way to becoming the nominee. More than just presumptive, he'll be the actual nominee. I mean, he's presumptive until the convention, because at the convention is when they'll cast the first ballot, and the delegates will cast the vote for who the nominee is, and it's assumed that Donald Trump will be that nominee because of where he is right now in the delegate count. Anyways, the reason that I've made the predictions that I have in terms of who I think will win, other than Donald Trump, has to do with name recognition and success so far in the race. So Ted Cruz and John Kasich being the last two to withdraw from the overall nominating process and suspend their campaign means that there's still a percentage of voters, and it's not clear how many, who may still cast a vote for Cruz or Kasich or even Rubio, Carson, or Bush, just to have their voice heard and their message heard, despite Trump being the presumptive nominee, because part of a primary contest is just to cast a vote of support, say who you support and why, and that's important in a democracy. Anyways, the reason I think that Trump will win in the state of Oregon has everything to do right now with him being the presumptive nominee, him having so much of the momentum still, and also his populist message as it relates to specifically trade and working class demographics, and his arguments on jobs. I think he's got a sort of populist message that has had an appeal to enough of the Republican base that he is in the lead, and I think he'll stay in the lead. I will be very surprised for all the contests going forward, Oregon, and a bunch of others that are coming up, if Trump doesn't win. But I'll still keep making those prediction videos because, again, none of the candidates have quit the race outright. They've suspended their campaign. So any of them could become active again. Probable? No. Possible? Yes. And possible is a big thing in democracy, because so long as it's possible, it could happen. If it could happen, then I'm going to make a prediction video for it. And also, all these contests still deserve to be talked about, and they deserve to have a prediction made for them, because it's part of the democratic process, the marketplace of ideas, and frankly, I like to talk about politics, so I'm going to keep making these predictions videos anyways. I'll make them also after the primary, after this nominating process, for as it gets close to the general election, who I think between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump will win in every single state in November. And also, I have some plans, I think, to talk maybe about some of the platforms platform differences between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, assuming that they are both going to be the nominee. If it turns out that Sanders is the nominee, I'll talk about the platform differences between Sanders and Trump. But I'll discuss that more when it actually gets to that point. Right now, it's mainly the prediction videos for who I think will win in these presidential primary contests. And my prediction is that Donald Trump wins. Thank you so much for watching. Donald Trump wins in Oregon on the 17th of May is my prediction for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and it'll be great to see what happens. If I'm wrong, I will be very shocked, and I will study exactly why and what happened. And again, I'll be shocked. It'll be a learning experience if my prediction is wrong for Donald Trump winning in Oregon. If for whatever reason he doesn't win, I will be shocked and confused and go back to the drawing board and try and figure out where I went wrong with my math and my understanding of what's going on in the world. But I'm 99.9% sure that Donald Trump will win in the state of Oregon for their primary. Yeah, that's how sure I am of that particular prediction, because he is the presumptive nominee, and every other major candidate in the Republican primary has